Yes, we're in the London version of the studio
Okay.
right now, which is it's underground, under the sort of central part of Soho, which is this sort of, London, the sort of going out 24 hours sort of going out area of town. We're lurking, we're little acting oasis underneath all that decadence.
Okay. Well, yes, I want to ask you a few questions, very simple, about acting and your what you do for actors.
Mm-hmm.
So my first question would be, what are the qualities that are necessary for actors?
Oh gosh, well, there are many different types of actors.
Yes.
So there are many different types of qualities. I think the common denominator, of course, is inevitably its imagination, because it's an art form. They're artists. So you need to have, above and beyond anything else, a powerful and developed imagination. But then other things come into play as well. People have to be very free, very instinctive, able to be incredibly open, to be private in public, private while being observed by the public, so that people can empathize with them. They have to, I think actors have to be intelligent. I know a lot of people don't think that, but I think there is a place for the capacity to really sort of penetrate through a text, really understand the text. And then they have these curious creatures that combine intellect with instinct. They have to have both, and that's rare, because often you either get the intellectual, who's got no capacity for instinct, or the sort of wild, instinctive creature that doesn't know the story that they're telling. So really, the really good actors kind of combine the two, I would say. And then you need a body. You need to be able to move, walk, talk. You need a voice. You need to be able to transform physically. So you need all of those skills as well. I mean, they're basically things that have to be developed, and that's why we train, really. That's the point of training, to be an actor.
Okay. Now, what are the problems that actors have and when they come to work with you? What are the main problems that you discover, you can see?
Oh, there's a huge range of problems, and it depends on who the person is, because people come with themselves to acting, and actually it's themselves that are interesting. Often people come because they think they're going to act to show something different, something other than themselves. So the first big problem that probably most people encounter is the taking off of the mask, the taking off of all of the things that are artificial, to stop acting and to reveal parts of you, to let people know and see those parts of you. That's the big problem that most people face. But then, acting is a strange process, because different people are great at one aspect of acting and other people are terrible at it, and vice versa, because it's such a huge subject. So it really depends on who you've got in the room. And one's trained so many actors over the years. You deploy, of course, different tactics for different psychological types, if that makes sense. An acting training is a bespoke one. There's no such thing as this size-fits-all kind of training. You have to deploy different techniques with different people. But the skill of the acting coach is to understand who you've got in the room and what's blocking them. We all need to train in one way or another. No one's just naturally brilliant. I mean, that's a total myth in my experience.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what are the tools that you use to bring these people to reveal and to take off the mask?
Well, we have a whole range of influences on the training that we use here, and we are very much influenced by purist Russian Stanislavskian method. We have invited teachers over from the United States, people from all those great teachers who evolved the method after the Russians went to America, people like Lee Strasberg. We use his song and dance exercise to connect people to their instinct, to be real, to be truthful. We use his private moment exercise to get people to unblock and reveal secrets that make them hold back. We use Meisner technique here at the studio. We have some brilliant Meisner teachers to connect people to truth, to focus their fantasy and imagination. We also use the object exercises of Uta Hagen, which you can read all about in her wonderful seminal book, Respect for Acting. And there's a series, I think, of 16 sort of exercises that you go through to sort of unleash your actor potential. This is all combined, of course, with lots of very high-level technical classes. So we have some of the top movement teachers in the world here. We have Tom Hardy's, Michael Fassbender, Colin Firth, and my movement teacher, Liana Nichols, working on releasing blocks through the body. Another method for that is a woman called Janet Amston, who was an assistant of Jack Malmgren, my guru, my mentor, if you like. And he developed a very, very particular movement training for actors which targeted psychological blocks. Yes, and they're very specific to the individual. So that's used, and then of course voice training can release blocks as well. So you never know which one is going to work for any given individual, but eventually, after some time, you start knocking away all those things that are getting in the way.
Okay. Great. So now you plan to open a studio in France, in Paris, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So will it be the same method and the same teachers?
It'll be absolutely modelled on the same technique, the sort of combinations of influences that we have here. And our methodology comes out of my training at the Drama Centre, so it'll be a natural extension of that work. And I'm very excited about it because the Drama Centre, as was where I trained, was always celebrating our common European cultural classical heritage, which is an enormous and fantastic body of work, and I think it's time that we in Europe celebrated that and had a sort of pan-European training body, and we can certainly help with that because of course, I work all over Europe coaching on films, and so I have an understanding of something of how the modern industries work in all of those countries. So giving a chance for people to work both in Paris and London, to have access to the industry, having had a very intensive, rigorous, solid training, celebrating all of those influences, celebrating European culture, I think will be a first. And I'm very excited about that. I think it's probably true to say there are more increasingly co-productions going on around looking at film-wise. And it's an opportunity to sort of embed that in a European training institution, which we're hoping to create.
Okay. You use the word celebrating a lot. It seems to be very important in your training. Why is that?
Oh, because it should be about pleasure. Art is about pleasure, even if it's painful pleasure. And obviously, very often it's extremely painful. But we're sick. The actors are sick people. There's a sick pleasure in pain. Giving birth to a child, anything about creativity involves pain, but there's also deep, deep pleasure in it. And life's for living, isn't it? It's not for being depressed.
Yeah. Great. Oh, I want to come back on one thing. You said you have to be private in public. What do you mean?
Well, you know when you watch a great actor, say on a movie, and you have the sensation that you know them intimately. Somehow they let you into their interior world, their private world, and they're saying, come and look, come and see my journey, see who I am. And that's something that Stanislavski himself discovered. Those are the actors, the people who have the capacity to be that open, to let you see them in all their shit as well, all the crap that's in them as well as all the wonderful things. They're the ones that evoke empathy. And realism depends on empathy. It's not like Brecht with his Verfremdungseffect, his alienation effect. It's the principle of allowing people to travel with you emotionally. Yeah? But that's very hard to do. And actors have to, most actors, I've never met one who can just is naturally so open, you see them. Most actors have to train themselves to let people in because, let's face it, normal conventional school life and normal upbringings are about doing precisely the opposite, about hiding, about not showing, about not being vulnerable, not being weak. And so we have to relearn and become like a child and enjoy perhaps the intimacy one rarely enjoys in real life in a heightened way.